Hello to all dear students. Today we'll discuss about excretion of drugs. And yes, this is the last part of our topic pharmacokinetics. So excretion is the passage out of systemically absorbed drugs. Drugs and their metabolites are being excreted via various routes like urine, fecal matter, exhaled air, sweat, saliva, milk and so on and so forth. So we'll discuss about these things one by one. So urine. Through kidneys. It is the most important channel of excretion for majority of the drugs. And yes, here along with urine, the drugs are also getting excreted out of our body. We will discuss this route in detail after a few minutes. Another route is via the fecal matter. So this is our GI tract where drugs are present and the drugs which have undergone ionization, they cannot be absorbed. So directly they are excreted out. And the drugs that are maintaining their lipophilicity or which are still unionized formed will get absorbed into our blood circulation. But apart from this unabsorbed fraction, most of the drug present in feces is derived from bile. Okay, so it is the liver. Liver actively transport into bile the organic acids, organic bases, other lipophilic drugs and even steroids by separate non-specific active transport mechanism. And obviously an active transport mechanism are also available that will take away the drug from the systemic circulation and dump it into the intestine, and then ultimately from here the drugs will be eliminated along with the fecal matter. Next route is via the exhaled air. Okay, so here you can see lungs and little anatomy I have written over here. Alveoli is there and a blood capillary is there, and obviously in this blood vessel the drugs are present. So the gases and volatile liquids are eliminated by the lungs irrespective of their lipid solubility. Another route is saliva and sweat. These are of minor importance for drug excretion. Lithium, potassium iodide, rifampin and certain heavy metals are present in these secretions in significant amounts. Most of the saliva along with the drug in it is swallowed and meets the same fate as orally taken drug. Now the last route is via the milk. The excretion of drug in milk is not important for the mother, but the suckling infants are receiving these drugs indirectly. So most drugs enter breast milk by passive diffusion. As such, more lipid soluble and less protein bound drugs cross better. Milk has got a lower pH than plasma and therefore basic drugs are somewhat more concentrated in it. However, the total amount of drug reaching the infant through breastfeeding is generally small and majority of drugs can be given to lactating mother without ill effects to the infants. But nevertheless, it is advisable to administer any drug to a lactating woman only when it is essentially required. A very simple example of this you can take as a sedative drug. Suppose a new mother, you can say a newbie mother, who if that mother consume any sedative drug. See, sedative means these are CNS depressants, so they should act on central nervous system. Now when these drugs need to act on the central nervous system means they should cross the blood brain barrier. And what kind of drug can cross the blood brain barrier? Yes, the drug should be highly lipophilic in nature, okay, so that it can easily cross that blood brain barrier and move to the central nervous system. Okay, and since it is very much lipophilic in nature, these sedatives have got the ability to move to the milk. Okay, and if such kind of milk has been consumed by the newborn infant, then those sedative action are likely to appear on the baby also. So we'll say, okay, mom took the sedative but the baby is also sleeping. Okay, so this is the transfer of drug or again excretion of drug via the breast milk. Okay, so these were the various routes of drug elimination. The next important topic is renal excretion. See, the kidney is responsible for excreting all the water soluble substances, and as we have studied in the metabolism step, what happens in metabolism? in metabolism, the lipophilic drug, or you can say a lipid soluble drug, is been converted into water soluble drug. Okay, and what renal excretion will do? It will excrete out all the water soluble substances. So you can say this renal excretion is the most most important pathway of excretion, because majority of the drugs are being excreted via the renal route. Okay, so here you can see an image of a nephron, and yes, nephron is the structural and functional unit of a kidney. Kidney is made up of nearly millions and millions of nephron. Okay, so quickly we'll check out the various parts of the nephron. So here goes your glomerulus. This one is the proximal convoluted tubule. This one is loop of Henle. This one is the distal convoluted tubule, and lastly we have got collecting duct. And yes, here I have made a small blood vessels to check out how the transportation of the drugs takes place from nephron to blood vessel or blood circulation, and from the blood circulation into the nephron. See, in your physiology class, you have studied about various steps involved in urine formation. So same step we'll discuss over here also, because the elimination or the transportation of the drug also follows the same 3 steps. Okay, so the first step is the glomerular filtration. So what happens over here? We have got glomerular capillaries that have got large number of, or you can say pores are very much larger in their size. So all the non-protein bound drug, either they are lipid soluble or water soluble, they are presented into the glomerulus, means they are being filtered. Okay, so few important points you should remember over here. For a drug to get filtered off, any kind of drug can be filtered, like it may be lipid soluble or it may be water soluble, but it should not be bound to the plasma protein, because any drug, when it is bound to the plasma protein, the size of the drug will be increased, and when the size of the drug is increased, it cannot cross these capillaries. Even though these capillaries are highly fenestrated in nature, then also they cannot cross and they cannot get filtered off. Okay, so a drug which is protein bound, they cannot get filtered off, but a non-protein bound drug, irrespective of its solubility, whether it is lipid soluble or it is water soluble, it will get filtered off and it will get presented to the glomerulus, you can say Bowman's capsule, or directly to the proximal convoluted tubule. Now you might be knowing about the glomerular filtration rate, which is approximately 120 ml per minute. It means in 1 minute 120 ml of the blood is getting filtered over here. Okay, so in 1 minute 120 ml, that implies in 1 hour it is almost 7200 ml, or you can say 7.2 liters, and in one entire day it will be nearly 172 liters. Okay, so 172 liters of blood is getting filtered in this way, okay, in 1 day. But we know in 1 day how much amount of urine we are excreting. It is hardly 1.5 to 2 liters. Okay, 2 liters is very much max. You can say we can limit till 1.5 liter only. We can say 1 to 1.5 liter of urine is been excreted out every day in entire 24 hours. But the amount of the blood getting filtered is nearly 172 liters. Okay, so where rest is going, it is getting reabsorbed. Yes, you have studied all these things in your physiology class. So the drugs are getting reabsorbed back into the systemic circulation. And what kind of drug are getting reabsorbed? Yes, the drug should be highly lipophilic in nature. Okay, hydrophilic drug cannot cross this barrier. Only lipophilic drug can easily cross the barrier and move into the systemic circulation. And the drugs which are not lipophilic in nature, you can say the drugs which have become ionized, they will stay in this nephron only and will get eliminated out of the body. Now this thing we can use as an advantage. Okay, this thing we can use as an advantage. What kind of advantage means? If you are consuming any drug in a higher amount, you can say overdose of a drug. So overdose of a drug, that means poisoning of the drug. Drug poisoning does not mean that any poison we are consuming. Drug poisoning means whenever you are taking an overdose of a drug is known as drug poisoning. Okay, now suppose when there is an overdose of an acidic drug, so what we should do? When you have consumed large amount of acidic drug, you want to remove that drug out of your body. Okay, so we'll check out how we can correct this thing. When you have consumed large amount of acidic drug, suppose this is the acidic drug and whole of the drug has been entered into your nephron. Okay, now we don't want this drug to get reabsorbed back into the systemic circulation. We want this drug to be remain in the nephron and we should get eliminated out from our body. So what we should do, if the drug is lipophilic in nature, it will get reabsorbed into the systemic circulation. So what we need to do, we want this drug not to be lipophilic in nature. We want this drug to become ionized. Okay, so since it is an acidic drug, under what condition these drugs will become ionized? Yes, we should make the entire nephron basic. We should make the urine basic in nature. So and also when we are making the entire environment basic in nature, these acidic drugs will become more ionized and they are less reabsorbed and then finally get eliminated out from our body. Okay, similarly, whenever there is an overdose of basic drug, then what will happen? These basic drug will move into the nephron. Okay, and we don't want to reabsorption of such drug, so we need to make this drug ionized. So what we are doing, we are making the entire environment acidic in nature. So a basic drug in acidic environment, it will become more ionized and will get less reabsorbed and finally it can get eliminated out of. Though elimination of weak bases can be enhanced by acidifying the urine, but this is not practiced clinically because acidosis can induce rhabdomyolysis, cardiotoxicity and actual worsen the outcome. So the effect of changes in urinary pH on drug excretion is greatest for those having pKa values in between 5 to 8 because only in their case pH dependent passive reabsorption is significant. Okay, so this is regarding the reabsorption, tubular reabsorption, and the third step is the tubular secretion. Okay, so tubular secretion means the drug means there will be a transporter over here. Okay, transporter means there will be a carrier protein and via this carrier protein the drug from the systemic circulation is moved back into the nephron. Okay, and finally this drug will get eliminated out. Okay, but this is somewhat different from that of tubular reabsorption. Tubular reabsorption is a passive process, but tubular secretion is an active process. So you people might be knowing the difference between the passive transport and active transport. Passive transport means it is along the concentration gradient. Okay, that is from the higher to lower concentration and energy is not required. Okay, that was in case of tubular reabsorption, but in case of tubular secretion it is an active process, means here energy is also required and the movement of the substance is from the from the lower to higher concentration. Okay, so and one more important thing about this transporter is this transporter will be very much narrow, so narrow that at one time only one drug will be moving. Okay, at one time just a single drug will be moving. Like if one drug passes, the another drug will be under queue. Okay, after the drug has been passed and another drug will pass then. Okay, so one by one the drug will be passing on. Now this tubular secretion, this thing is also being used in some advantageous manner. Like we take an example of penicillin. See, penicillin have got a very short half-life. And if we want to prolong the survival of that penicillin drug inside our body, so what we are doing, we are giving penicillin along with probenecid. Okay, so penicillin, we want to increase the survival of penicillin. So what happens over here is there will be a transporter who can transport the penicillin from the systemic circulation into your nephron and it will excrete the penicillin out of our body. But when we are taking penicillin along with probenecid, so what will happen over here is both penicillin and probenecid have got affinity for the same carrier protein, or you can say the same transporter, but probenecid have got a little bit higher affinity for that carrier protein than that of penicillin. So instead of penicillin, the probenecid will get attracted first and it will move into the nephron and will get eliminated out, and in this manner the penicillin survival in the body will be little bit increased. Okay, so this is about the tubular secretion. Next, few important questions I'll ask you, and you people try to answer those things. Okay, answers I'll give after a few seconds only as such. So suppose there is a drug and about 100 molecules of the drug is being filtered, okay, from the glomerulus, and it has been introduced into the nephron. Okay, 100 molecules of the drug has been filtered from the blood and moved into the nephron. But when you checked in the urine, 150 molecules are there. Okay, so 100 molecules is taken up by the glomerular, filtered into the nephron, but in the urine 150 molecules of drug is present. So from where extra 50 molecules has been appeared over here? Yes, so the answer is 50 molecules of drug has been undergone tubular secretion. Okay, so 100 was getting glomerular filtered off from the glomerulus, plus 50 molecules from the tubular secretion. So 100 plus 50, that makes 150 molecules to be get presented into the urine. But one more question comes over here. What about tubular reabsorption? So 0 molecules of drug are getting reabsorbed back into the systemic circulation. There may be 0, but there may not be 0. Okay, so you can make one more assumption, like maybe almost 80 molecules has undergone tubular secretion and nearly 30 molecules are getting tubular reabsorption. Okay, so 100 is coming from the filtrate plus 80 getting secreted back into the nephron. So 100 plus 80 becomes 180 and 30 molecules reabsorbed back into the systemic circulation. So 180 minus 30, that becomes 150 molecules of the drug to be presented in the urine. Okay, so what it implies is reabsorption may occur or may not occur, but secretion for sure it should occur. Okay, now we'll take another similar kind of case. Suppose during a glomerular filtration, nearly 150 molecules of the drug is been filtered off from the glomerulus and presented into the nephron, but in the urine just 100 molecules of the drug are presented. So where might be those remaining 50 molecules of drug has been gone? Yes, now for you it will be very much easier to guess. So 50 molecules have reabsorbed back into the systemic circulation. Okay, so 150 got filtered and 50 got reabsorbed back into the systemic circulation. 150 minus 50, so it becomes 100 molecules which are presented in the urine. But what about tubular secretion? Tubular secretion may happen or may not happen. So you can make another assumption that maybe 30 molecules of drug has gone reabsorbed. So 150 plus 30, it becomes 180 and nearly 80 molecules has back reabsorbed into the systemic circulation. So 180 minus 80, that becomes 100 molecules of the drug which is now presented in the urine. Okay, so I believe you people have understand completely regarding this renal excretion. Next, we'll check out the kinetics of elimination. So the knowledge of kinetics of elimination of a drug provides the basis for as well as serves to devise rational dosage regimens and to modify them according to the individual needs. So basically there are three fundamental pharmacokinetic parameters, and they are bioavailability, volume of distribution, clearance. Okay, and these must be understood first. So drug elimination is the sum total of metabolic inactivation and then lastly excretion. Okay. So when you see about this kinetics of elimination, please do not get afraid, do not get threatened that why this physics has come over here. See, I'll make this topic really very easy for you people. So the very first thing that you should know is about rate of elimination. It is denoted by a capital R. Rate of elimination is equals to amount of drug eliminated divided by time. So rate of elimination, very simple, it is how much is the speed of elimination. So speed of elimination is calculated as how much amount of drug is eliminated in how much time. The next important parameter is clearance, which is denoted as CL. clearance is equal to rate of elimination divided by plasma concentration of drug. Now you assume this is an organ. This is a blood vessel which is supplying the blood to the particular organ. That means it is an artery. This is another blood vessel via which the blood is getting out of that particular organ. So obviously it is a vein. So via artery the blood is entering the organ, and via vein the blood is leaving that particular organ. Similarly with the blood, even drug is also coming to this organ. Okay, so via artery the drug is coming, and via vein the drug is leaving that particular organ, and little amount of drug which is present, which has been metabolized in the organ, is getting eliminated out of that particular organ. Okay, so assume nearly 10 microgram per ml of drug is entering via the artery, and via the vein less than 10 microgram per ml of the drug is leaving. Okay, so little amount of drug is getting metabolized in this particular organ, and you people might be knowing metabolism is always followed by excretion. So assume 500 microgram per minute. This is the rate at which the drug is getting excreted out from this particular organ. So we need to calculate clearance. So clearance means how much amount of drug is getting cleared off from this particular plasma. Okay, so obviously drug is present in the plasma. So just imagine, means I'll give an example so that a clear picture of clearance should occur in your mind. Suppose we have got two beakers, beaker number 1 and beaker number 2. Both beakers have got nearly 5 liters of water, you say, and both beakers have got nearly 10 fishes. Okay, so we have given some kind of fish poison. Okay, not that much toxic, little bit less toxic fish poison we have added to in both the beakers. So suppose in beaker number 1 5 fishes have been died, and in beaker number 2 6 fishes died. Okay, so in beaker number 1 we should calculate clearance, means how much amount of fish are been cleared off. Yes, 5 fishes are cleared off and 5 are remaining. Okay, and in beaker number 2 6 fishes died, means 6 fishes have been cleared out in that particular 5 liters of water. Okay, so what you understood here, we are not checking out that how much amount of drug is eliminated or how much amount of what is the rate of elimination. We just want to know how much amount of drug is cleared off in that particular plasma. That's it, and that is the clearance. Okay, and like we took this example, we can solve this like clearance equals to rate of elimination. What is the rate of elimination? That is 500 microgram per minute divided by the plasma concentration of the drug. Plasma concentration here implies the initial plasma concentration of the drug. So using this formula we can calculate clearance equals to 500 microgram per minute divided by the initial plasma concentration, that is the amount of drug which was present in the arteries, and via that artery the drug has entered into the organ, that is the 10 microgram per ml. So we will get clearance is equals to 50 ml per minute. Okay, and if you people are very much poor in mathematics like me and you are thinking like how this unit has come, so we will solve this also. So in the numerator rate of elimination have got the unit microgram per minute. Obviously rate means per minute, amount per minute, divided by the plasma concentration of the drug, or you can say the initial plasma concentration of the drug, that is microgram per ml. So we will simplify the thing by writing in this manner. So microgram cancel, and we got ml per minute. So the unit of clearance is ml per minute. Okay, next we'll talk about half-life. Half-life means something has been gone in half, and what is that time required for that substance to go to half, that is half-life. Okay, so half-life means the time required for 50% of the drug to get eliminated out. Okay, suppose you have taken 100 molecules of drug. How much time is required for this 100 to become 50? Suppose in 1 hour it has become 50, so 1 hour is the half-life. What is the half-life of this 50 molecules? The time required for this 50 molecule to become 25. Suppose 1 hour. Half-life of 25. The time required. Suppose 1 hour is the time required for elimination of half of the 25. That is 12.5. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay. So half-life means the time required for half of the drug to get eliminated out from our body. Okay, and you can give it in this manner also. Always the initial concentration we are writing as C naught. So half-life means half of C naught. Okay, so this is half-life. Half-life means the time required for half of the molecule or half of the drug to get eliminated out from our body. Okay, so this is half-life. Now we'll check out the order of kinetics. Okay, so we have got basically two orders, first order kinetics and zero order kinetics. You people have studied this thing in your physics school also, and I believe you people are not so much good in physics, so you are studying pharmacology today. Anyways, for better understanding of this first and zero order kinetics, just assume a simple example. Suppose this is a hollow tube and this is a funnel. Okay, funnel, you people have used funnel in your chemistry lab for filtering and some kind of preparation. Okay, now imagine this hollow tube. If you are adding 1 spoonful of a substance, everything will come down. Now you are adding 2 spoonful of substance, everything will come down. You are adding 3 spoonful of substance, everything will come down. Okay, so this implies that how much amount of drug you are adding, that much amount of drug is getting eliminated out. Okay, you are adding less, outcome is less. Your input is more, the output is also more, and that happens in the first order kinetics. You are increasing the plasma concentration of the drug, the elimination is also increasing over here. Okay, so that is first order kinetics. So now we'll study about the zero order kinetics. What happens over here? You are adding very less amount of substance, everything is coming down and there is no problem as such. But if you are slightly increasing the amount of the substance, so the substance will get chalked off over here, and slowly little substance, means like two substance are been coming out at a time. Okay, so what does it implies? In case of first order kinetics, input is 10, output is 10. Input is 100, output is also 100. Input is 1000, output is also 1000. But in case of zero order kinetics, input is 2, output is 2. Till here it was okay. Next, input is 10, output is 2 only. Input is 100, output is 2 only. Input is 1000, output is 2 only. So in case of zero order kinetics, in case of the funnel, how much amount of drug you are increasing, how much amount of plasma concentration of the drug you are increasing, but the elimination rate will be constant over here. But in case of first order kinetics, when you are increasing the plasma concentration of drug, in similar manner the elimination is also getting increased. Okay, so you can say in first order kinetics the fraction will be constant. So suppose 100 is the initial concentration of drug, after 1 hour 50% is getting eliminated and 50% will be remaining in your plasma. Okay, and after 1 hour same 50% is getting eliminated, that is 25 molecules are getting eliminated. After 1 hour same 50% of the drug is getting eliminated. So in first order kinetics the fraction will be constant, like in every 1 hour 50% is eliminated, in second hour another 50%, in third hour and another 50% of the drug is getting eliminated. But in case of zero order kinetics the amount will be constant. Like suppose here 100 molecule is the initial plasma concentration. After 1 hour the 80 will be the molecules present in the plasma, that means 20 got eliminated. After 1 hour 60 will be the plasma concentration of the drug, that means and another 20 molecules got eliminated. After 1 hour 40 will be the plasma concentration of the drug, that means another 20 molecules got eliminated, and after 1 hour 20. So in case of zero order kinetics the amount of the drug eliminated will be constant, but in case of first order kinetics the fraction will be constant, like either 50% every hour or 30% every hour or 10% of drug getting eliminated every hour. So in first order kinetics the fraction will be constant, but in case of zero order kinetics the amount will be constant over here. Next we'll check out these first order and zero order kinetics, and we'll try to correlate this thing with the rate of elimination, clearance and half-life of the drug. Okay, so very quickly we'll write about the first order kinetics. Here every hour 50% of the drug is getting eliminated out from the body. Now we'll check out rate. What is the formula for calculating the rate? Rate means amount of drug eliminated per time. Okay, so we'll check out over here. Initial plasma concentration is 100 and after 1 hour 50 will be the plasma concentration. So how much amount of drug got eliminated? Yes, it is 50. And in how much time? 1. So 50 divided by 1. So the rate will be obviously 50 microgram per minute or per hour over here. Okay, next, now 50 is the initial concentration and 20, and after 1 hour 25 is remaining in the plasma. Okay, so how much amount of drug eliminated over here? Yes, that is 50 minus 25, that is 25, and in 1 hour. So again 25 is the rate. Next, now 25 is the initial concentration and after 1 hour 12.5 I should write, sorry, I have written 20.6. So 12.5 should be the plasma concentration of that particular drug, and after 1 hour how much amount of drug got eliminated? That is 12.6 only I will take over here. So 12.6 by 1, so 12.6 is the rate of elimination. Next, 12.6 is the initial concentration and after 1 hour 6.25 will be the concentration of the drug in the plasma. So 12.6 minus 6.25 will get 6.25 again. So here what you can see, when the amount of drug, when the initial concentration of the drug is more, the rate of elimination is also more, but when the plasma concentration of the drug is decreasing, the rate of elimination is also getting decreased. So you can say for first order kinetics, the rate of elimination is directly proportional to the plasma concentration of the drug. When the plasma concentration of the drug is more, the rate of elimination is also more. When the plasma concentration is less, then the rate of elimination is also less. Now we'll check out for zero order kinetics. I am taking the same example, like in every 1 hour 20 molecule of the drug is getting eliminated. Okay, now we'll calculate the rate of elimination for zero order kinetics, and the formula goes the amount of drug eliminated in time. So you saw 100 was the initial concentration of the drug in the plasma, and after 1 hour the amount of drug present in the plasma is 80. So 100 minus 80, that becomes 20. So 20 molecule got eliminated, and in how much time? In 1 hour. So 20 divided by 1, so we'll get 20 is the rate. Next, initial concentration is 80 and after 1 hour the plasma concentration of the drug will be 60. So 80 minus 60, again I'll get 20, the rate. Next, 60 is the initial concentration and after 1 hour 40 will be the amount of drug present in the plasma. 60 minus 40 is 20, and in 1 hour again 20. Next, 40 is the initial concentration and after 1 hour the plasma concentration of the drug will be 20. Same, 20 by 1, 20 is the rate. So what we saw over here, in zero order kinetics, whether the amount of drug is more, moderate or very less, the rate of elimination will be same, it will be constant. So you can say the rate of elimination of drug in case of zero order kinetics is constant. Okay, so in first order kinetics, the rate of elimination is directly proportional to the plasma concentration of the drug, but for zero order kinetics the rate of elimination is constant. Next we'll see about clearance. Okay, so clearance means the rate of elimination divided by the initial plasma concentration of the drug. So we'll check out for first order kinetics here. The first one, the initial the rate of elimination is 50 divided by the initial plasma concentration of the drug, which is 100. So 50 by 100 will get 1 by 2. Next, the rate of elimination is 25 divided by the initial plasma concentration of the drug, which is 50. So 25 by 50 again will get 1 by 2. Next, the rate of elimination is 12.6 and the initial divided by the initial plasma concentration, which is 25, again will get 1 by 2. Next, initial plasma rate of elimination is 6.25 divided by the initial plasma concentration of the drug, that is 12.6, again will get 1 by 2. So what we saw over here, for the clearance, every time we are getting 1 by 2, 1 by 2, 1 by 2. So clearance will be constant for the first order kinetics. Whether the initial plasma concentration is more or less, the clearance will be constant for the first order kinetics. Now we'll check out the clearance for the zero order kinetics. So rate of elimination divided by the initial plasma concentration of the drug. In first case, the rate of elimination is 20 divided by the initial plasma concentration, that is 100. So we'll get amount 0.2. Next, rate of elimination is 20 divided by the initial plasma concentration, that is 80, will get 0.25. Next, rate of elimination, again 20 divided by the initial plasma concentration, that is 60. So we'll get 0.33. Next, rate of elimination is 20 divided by the initial plasma concentration, that is 40. Again we'll get 0.5. So what we found, when the plasma concentration of the drug is more, at that time the clearance is less, and as the constant plasma concentration of the drug is reducing, the clearance is increasing. So you can assume the funnel again in your mind. The funnel, when the amount of drug is more, the everything will be chalked off over there, and the rate of elimination, the clearance will be very much slow. But slowly when the amount of drug, that chalking of that pipe of the funnel is been reducing, when the amount of substance in that funnel is reducing, and the clearance will be very much fast. So I believe you can assume the thing practically, not practically, but you can imagine the thing in your mind, and you can find, okay, zero order kinetics, always a funnel should come in your mind. Okay, and because of that, less amount of drug or less amount of substance is present in the funnel, so in the clearance will be very much fast in that case. So you can say, for zero order kinetics, clearance is inversely proportional to the plasma concentration of the drug. When the amount of drug in the plasma is more, at that time clearance will be very much less. Okay, you assume again the funnel. When the amount of substance is more in the funnel, the clearance will be very much slow. But when the amount of substance in the funnel is less, at that time the clearance will be very much fast. Okay, so for clearance, it is constant for first order kinetics, but it will be inversely proportional for the plasma concentration in case of zero order kinetics. Okay, so this is about clearance. Next we'll check out the half-life. Half-life means the time required for 50% of the drug to get eliminated. So in first order kinetics, you can see the initial concentration of the drug is 100. 50% of 100 is 50, and the time required for to do this is just 1 hour. Next, initial concentration is 50. The time required for 50% of the drug to get eliminated. 50% of 50 is 25, and how much time is required? Again 1 hour. Next, when the plasma concentration of the drug is 25, how much time is required for 50% of the drug to get eliminated? 50% of 25 is 12.5, again 1 hour. Next, if 12.5 is the initial plasma concentration and we want 50% of the drug to get eliminated, again it will take 1 hour of time only. So you can say half-life in case of first order kinetics is a constant. Okay, next we'll check out for zero order kinetics. Initial plasma concentration is 100. Okay, and 50% of 100 is obviously 50, which is somewhat over here, and the time required for 50% of the drug to get eliminated is almost 2.5 hours. Okay, next 80 is the initial concentration. 50% of 80 is 40. Time required is 2 hours. Okay, next 60 is the initial plasma concentration. Half of 60 is 30, and the time required for 50% of this molecule to get eliminated is 1.5 hours. Next, initial plasma concentration is 40, and 50% of 40 is 20, and the time required for just 20% to get eliminated is again 1 hour. So you can see, when the plasma concentration is more, the half-life is more, and when the plasma concentration reduces, the half-life also reduces. So you can say for zero order kinetics, the plasma half-life is directly proportional to the plasma concentration of the drug. Okay, next, majority of the drug follows first order kinetics except few drugs such as warfarin, alcohol, aspirin, thiophyllene, tolbutamide and phenytoin. So these drugs you should always remember, because these drugs will always follow zero order kinetics. So till now what we have studied, in case of first order kinetics, we took an example of a hollow pipe, and how much amount of drug you add, that much amount will come out. Okay, means less the plasma concentration of the drug, lesser will be the rate of elimination. More is the plasma concentration of the drug, and more will be the elimination. Okay, similarly for zero order kinetics, we had assumed a funnel. Okay, so what happens in funnel? How much amount of the drug is present in the plasma, whether the plasma concentration of the drug is less or more, but the amount eliminated will be constant, or you can say the rate of elimination will be constant. Okay, now for first order kinetics, instead of assuming a hollow pipe, now you assume a big funnel. Okay, Now, for zero order kinetics, at the initial stage only the substance will get chalked off because it was a small funnel and the amount of elimination will be a constant. Okay, little amount get eliminated in a per unit of time. Okay, and in case of a bigger funnel means the pipe, the volume is also more over here, so more capacity it can take. So you add and everything will come down. Okay, 100 molecules came down, 200 molecules came down, 300 molecules came down. But now if you are adding 1 lakh molecule, it will get chalked off. 2 lakh, everything will get chalked off. So after one point, if you are so much increasing the amount at one particular time, it will get chalked off. Okay, no doubt it is a funnel of a very huge size. So initially you were adding 200 molecule, all the 200 molecules were coming out. Then you were adding 500 molecules, everything coming out. 1000 molecules coming out. 5000 molecules are adding, 5000 molecules coming out. But at one particular point, now you are adding 1 lakh molecules. Now the chalking off problem has been initiated. Okay, so what will happen now? Now in this big funnel, it will also behave like a small funnel only. So what does this example implies? This example implies that in case of first order kinetics, no doubt the plasma concentration of the drug is directly proportional to the rate of elimination. Higher the plasma concentration, higher will be rate of elimination. But at one particular point, when you increase the amount of drug in the plasma to a particular level, then those drugs which were initially following the first order kinetics, they will start behaving like a zero order kinetic. Okay, now take a simple example of this ring. This green ring, suppose one green ring is equals to 100 molecules of drug. Okay, and for metabolizing this drug we have got nearly 1000 enzymes. Okay, so when we consume 100 molecule of drug, we have got 1000 enzymes available. So among those 1000 enzymes, some 100 enzymes will work on this drug and the drug will get eliminated. Now suppose we took 500 molecules of drug, 500 enzymes will work on it and those 500 drug molecules will get eliminated. Now suppose 1000 molecules of drug is there and entire 1000 enzymes will work on it and the entire 1000 molecules of drug will get eliminated. Now assume you have consumed 2000 molecules of drug and the enzyme we have only 1000. So this means all the enzymes will be engaged, or you can say the enzymes are now saturated, because now only 1000 enzymes will work on 1000 drug and which will get eliminated, but the remaining 1000 drug, they will be left in queue. Means now this remaining extra 1000 drug will start following zero order kinetics. So in this manner you can say a drug which was following first order kinetics, but once the enzymes will get saturated, they will start behaving like a zero order kinetics. Okay, a simple example you can take of aspirin. Okay, so aspirin have got multiple uses, like we can use them as antiplatelet action, it have got antipyretic action, analgesic action and anti-inflammatory action as such. Now just hypothetically assume we have got 150 enzymes available for metabolizing aspirin. Okay, and when we are taking aspirin in very low dose, like only 50 molecules, means it is just an assumption for explanation, only 50 molecules of aspirin is required for producing antiplatelet action. 100 molecules of aspirin will produce antipyretic action. 150 molecules of aspirin will produce analgesic action and 200 molecules of aspirin will produce anti-inflammatory action. Now, when aspirin is given for producing antiplatelet action, means those 50 molecules will undergo elimination via first order kinetics. When aspirin is given for antipyretic and for analgesic action, then also they will follow first order kinetics. Why? Because we have got 150 enzymes available. But when aspirin is given for anti-inflammatory action, means we have large amount of drug to be consumed, 200 molecules, but enzymes available are only 150. So in this way we can say the enzymes will get saturated. So 150 drug will get metabolized by 150 enzymes, but the remaining 50 molecules will be in queue. So which are whatever in queue, means they are fixed, they are stuck in the funnel, the imaginary funnel. So those 50 molecules which are remaining, they will start following the zero order kinetics. Okay, So I hope you people understood like how any drug which was initially following first order kinetics, when they are given in higher amount, so that the enzymes are getting saturated, and the drugs which were initially following first order kinetics will now start following zero order kinetics. Now, the very last thing that we should know is regarding the hepatic extraction ratio. Yes, in my previous video in the metabolism, I have shown you the formula for calculating the hepatic extraction ratio, that is clearance in the liver divided by the hepatic blood flow. Clearance, I believe you people understood regarding clearance. Okay, so we are checking the hepatic extraction ratio. Hepatic means liver. So hepatic extraction ratio means the amount of drug that is extracted by the liver to be getting absorbed into the systemic circulation. So just imagine this is the liver, blood is coming inside the liver and blood is leaving the liver. Blood is entering via the arteries and leaving via the veins. Similarly, along with the blood, even drugs are also entering. Suppose we have got 5 molecules of drug which is entering the liver via the artery, and among these 5 molecules, 3 molecules has left via the vein, but 2 molecules have stuck in the liver, and those 2 molecules will be undergoing metabolism via the enzymes available in the liver. So extraction ratio equals to clearance in liver. So how much amount of drug is cleared off from the plasma by the liver? Yes, 2 molecules, which is divided by the hepatic blood flow. Hepatic blood flow means amount of drug which was presented to the liver via the artery, that is 5 molecules were being presented. So extraction ratio you can write over here 2 divided by 5, that is the hepatic extraction ratio. So 2 divided by 5, whatever amount you are getting, that amount of drug is been prevented by the liver to get absorbed into the blood circulation. So that is hepatic extraction ratio. So I hope you people understood this entire thing. Thank you.